And so the first chapter of Company E's story draws to a close, and through their actions, the Mojave will be forever changed. Lieutenant Repulso, the man who had striven so hard for success in the Mojave on the Enclave's behalf, met his end as he was betrayed by those he had served. Gazing out towards Helios 1, as the last vestiges of life crept from his body, he thought of his men, and hoped dearly the coming inferno would spare them. As if God himself sought the torment of Company E, the skies above Helios opened up, and hellfire was brought upon the earth. Though thought dead, Company E's remnants stood defiant, charred and scalded from the blasts. Some of the men stood as ghosts of their former selves, their bodies scorched from the inferno. The death of Caesar was both a triumph and a feint. The tyrant had lain in a vegetative state for weeks until his passing, the death blow having been struck long before Teacup had entered the tent that fateful day. Though he could have never been saved, no justice, save death, was brought to Caesar as he left this world. With the assistance of Orion, Black Mountain stood tall against the machinations of the Legion. Raoul Tejada, inspired by Sergeant Cleaner and his men, took up arms in support of his supermutant brethren. While Company E would no longer come to be associated with the Enclave, Raoul would never forget the face of those who risked their lives for him and his. The Texas Brotherhood lay crippled after the destruction of Helios 1. With the power grid destroyed by the orbital strikes, the remaining soldiers of the Brotherhood could do only one thing. They fortified Repcon headquarters, establishing a bastion amongst an ever-increasing sea of organized mutant warfare. Local communities looked on, some with hope, others with joy that it would not be their turn to die. Corn Creek saw multiple battles that left its population scattered and its settlement in ruin. Though the town would be abandoned, no one attributed its destruction to Company E. The survivors of Corn Creek would spread the word of the men who came to their rescue, and some among them would search the wastes, looking to offer their services to their saviors. The Nova Legion stormed the Mojave outpost with unstoppable vigor. The I-15 was strangled shut, and soon, untold amounts of Legion armor units flowed across the Colorado. Where Caesar had shunned the mechanical improvements of modern society, it was under the tutelage of Lanius and Vulpes that the Legion put its newest machinations of war to the test. The treaty statues were toppled, and in their place, rows upon rows of crucifixes stood in turn. Slaves freed from the slave mines and camps in the region surrounding Nellis Air Force Base would make the trip to the bombed-out ruins of the town of Hexton. While originally the artillery zone for the boomers, the slaves soon built upon themselves a shantytown, organized defenses, and with cooperation between the two sides, would plant the seeds for gradual expansion. The boomers, saved by Company E in their hour of need, took to heart the valorous behaviors of their saviors. Almost overnight, the xenophobic boomers became compassionate towards the suffering of outsiders, especially the slaves who had been captive only a few miles from their gates. The boomers vowed to always support the men of E Company, and to continue their mission of protecting the weak and needy of the wasteland. And so, our story lays open, with the men of Company E abandoning their name and being left to their own devices, as the latest survivors of the brutal enclave. A friend of mine, however, once had a saying, War never changes, but men do, through the roads they walk, and this road has only just begun.